If you're anything like me, you'll get distracted by small events which ultimately mean nothing. But there's a whole world of events with massive implications. In this video, I've compiled 10 I think you should know about. Venezuela is becoming a dictatorship. Venezuela's economy recently collapsed, and it happened extremely suddenly, bringing political turmoil with it. Their president became incredibly unpopular as the situation got worse. There was a planned referendum on his leadership. If successful, it could result in a new election. Polls are showing the current president would lose that election, so instead of risking it, the referendum was cancelled. This means he can continue as leader, but it throws Venezuela into a constitutional crisis, because it's basically a dictatorship now. I can't see the situation getting better anytime soon. Deutsche Bank might ruin us. Deutsche Bank is the biggest bank in Germany. They employ over 100,000 people and is the world's biggest foreign exchange dealer. Their financial position greatly affects all of us in the Western world. If they meet financial disaster, they might drag us all down with them like Lehman did in the 2008 crisis. Well, we might be about to see Deutsche Bank hit by disaster. For a long time now, the bank has failed to meet their targets, and the US government recently demanded they pay $14 billion to America. It's a penalty for not banking responsibly before the last crisis. The problem is Deutsche Bank doesn't have $14 billion. Unable to pay the penalty, their shares have fallen to an all-time low. There's now an alliance of terrifying corporations. It was recently announced that Google, Microsoft, IBM, Facebook, and Amazon have formed a huge partnership to develop artificial intelligence. This has a lot of people worried. The partnership will actually be working to overcome controversial issues like safety and privacy, so it sounds like a good thing. But some are worried this partnership may accelerate AI development, and in doing so possibly enslave or destroy human life. Any one of these corporations developing AI alone would worry me, especially Google. Their DeepMind program can now self-educate. It doesn't need human input to learn. Colombia doesn't want peace. Since 1964, their government has been at war with several groups, like drug smugglers and communist guerrillas. It's been continuous war since then until now. But a few months ago, both sides agreed to a peace deal. As part of the deal, the guerrillas would not be sent to prison and would receive 10 seats in the Colombian Congress. The peace deal needed popular support, so a referendum was held, in which the Colombian people rejected the peace deal. And now no one knows what's going to happen. But if a new deal isn't made soon, their 52-year war will resume. There's a 17-year-old blogger in Singapore called Amos Yee. He's in jail right now for insulting religion and the Prime Minister of Singapore. After being arrested, he was charged with hurting religious feelings and received a 6-week sentence. The whole thing brought attention to human rights within Singapore, which I would have assumed protect freedom of speech. Yemen is in the middle of a civil war that almost no one understands. A while ago, their dictator lost power and was replaced by a more democratic leader, but rebels have since risen up in support of the former dictator, who they identify with on ethnic grounds. The rebel movement are now fighting for territory against the Yemeni government. As Yemen is the most poor country in the Middle East, its government isn't able to fight the rebels with ease. So now there's a Saudi-led coalition supporting them. Unfortunately, there is also a coalition of terrorist organizations who've carved out their own territory within Yemen. As it stands, Yemen has been divided into 3 nations. Angela Merkel might lose the next election. She's been the Chancellor of Germany for 10 years, seeing the German economy become the strongest in Europe, but her popularity is at a 5-year low. 50% of Germans oppose her re-election. That's partly due to the refugee crisis, and partly due to her being in office for so long. This time next year, her future will be decided in Germany's next federal elections. There is a chance she will lose. A local election was recently held in her hometown, in which her party came 3rd place. ISIS may be about to lose their biggest stronghold. Mosul is the 2nd biggest city in Iraq, and it's been held by ISIS since 2014, much to the embarrassment of the Iraqi military. But now the Iraqi military have launched a new offensive with the help of Kurdish forces and a combined force of Western powers. It seems like ISIS will be forced out, which means they will likely destroy most of it and kill as many people inside as possible. But on the bright side, it means they will be significantly less powerful. The South China Sea dispute may lead to World War III. There's a small group of islands in the South China Sea which multiple nations claim to own. These countries are China, Vietnam, the Philippines, Malaysia, Brunei, and Taiwan. The United Nations has ruled against China in the disputes, but the Chinese government have aggressively ignored their ruling. With the growing power of China and the decline of the West, there may soon be little to stop China from taking the islands by force. Number 1 is the current US election. This election has and is changing both political parties significantly. We're seeing the Republican Party split in half on ideological grounds, and the Democrats have been exposed on grounds of corruption. What the Democrats did isn't much better than Watergate. Whoever wins the election will be screwed as far as public opinion is concerned, and their party might just collapse behind them.